Hey guys, Crappie Kirby. Amidst this whole coronavirus scare, I'm staying at home, the family's inside, we're avoiding large groups, trying to contain the spread of this horrible virus. My prayers go out to everyone out there that's affected by this, because we all are. But in my spare time, going a little stir crazy, haven't been able to get out on the lake, so I thought I would talk to you about the upcoming fishing season, which of course is going to be the spring spawn for crappie. We're going to talk some gear, we're going to talk some equipment, and my favorite way to cover a lot of water fast when these crappie move shallow. And that is with, of course, the fin spin. Simple little spinner, curly tail. That's my favorite color there, the Therapist. It's made by Leland's Lures. The fin spin, you can kind of see it right there. These are the heads. I love throwing the 1/8 ounce heads. They have a 1/0 size hook, and they are perfect for casting out parallel to the shore, 3 to 4 foot of water. Hold on to your baits at all times. Keep your line taut, because they have this awesome little willow blade there that falls and spins even on the fall. So you'll get a lot of bites actually on the fall. So when you cast out, keep that line taut, watch it, and if you see it whip, set the hook. Of course, I throw those on the B&M Sharpshooter 6, the most affordable, most reliable, and I mean just incredible one-piece graphite that you're going to find. Some people pay close to, $180, $149 for a one-piece graphite. B&M poles, you got to check them out at your local box store or go to bnmpoles.com. Get yourself a Sharpshooter 6. This thing's also designed to shoot docks. Russ Bailey kind of made this pole famous, and it is an amazing pole. My favorite go-to all type of utility pole, B&M Sharpshooter 6. Now, let's talk crappie magnets here. My favorite colors. First off, let's go with the heads. My favorite colors, and you can pack your whole tackle box for probably under $35, $40 and be completely ready to go for the spawn with the crappie magnet packs. I like to get the fin spin jig heads. That's what they look like right there. These are my favorite colors. Got a little chartreuse and white, can never go wrong with that. Little orange and chartreuse. Maybe you're picking up on a pattern here. Chartreuse is a very popular color. And of course, my ever favorite popular pink, hot pink right there. All right, these are awesome little spinning heads. Then you get your bodies and you can create all your favorite custom color combinations. My favorite color combinations are chartreuse and white. And these all have that shad pole body with a spinning tail on it. It looks just like this. All right, but these are the color combinations. All right, chartreuse and white, crappie magnet series. Black and chartreuse, can never go wrong. Okay. Orange and chartreuse with a little glitter in the tail there. This is called candy corn, and this color works incredible if you have stained water. Muddy, flooded, silty water. For some reason, this orange color really sticks out, so if you're fishing that. Also, I like the crappie magnet pink and chartreuse. That's called the Slab Curly, pink and chartreuse. And then finally, the Therapist. Now, the reason I use the Therapist color all the time is because the shad in Kansas have a really dominant, did I mention black and chartreuse? Can't go wrong with that. The shad in the Kansas reservoirs have a very shimmery purple back. So that Therapist represents and looks almost exactly like what the shad looks. So I catch a lot of them on the Therapist color. Now I'm going to show you a couple things. First off, tips of the trade. I like to use a 2500 reel. Doesn't matter what type of reel you use. This is a Stratic reel. Works very well. I also like the Daiwa 2500 reels on this Sharpshooter 6. But one thing you want to do when you are fishing shallow during the spawn is you want to move to braid. All right, and the reason you want to move to braid, and I've got 10-pound braid here. The braid that I like to use is called the Spider Wire Invisibraid. All right, and the reason you want to use braid is because one day I lost 72 heads. Now that can get quite expensive, but we were catching fish. We had to throw it into the brush. It was flooded conditions and I would get hung up. And anytime that I would pull back, my line would snap with my favorite line, which is usually basically a 6-pound copolymer. But with braid, it bends the hooks back, all right? The hooks bend back, you don't lose any heads, you have some pliers on the boat, you bend that hook back so it looks just exactly like that, and you're good to go. You don't lose any hooks when you use braid. Once again, my favorite is the Invisibraid Spider Wire braid, 10-pound braid, phenomenal stuff. Cast a country mile, comes off the reel seat like silk. And it's called Invisibraid because I guess it disappears underwater. I don't know what they call it, Invisibraid, but you know, in whatever circumstances your water clarity is, you don't have to worry during the spawn because these fish are actually swarming to eat, and they're also swarming to defend the nest. So anything around them, boom, bang, bing, is going to get hit. So you don't have to worry if you have, you know, a fluorocarbon or if it's a clear lake. Maybe if it's a clear lake, you might want to go with a heavier grade monofilament, but usually in the spring, you have flooded conditions, you have silted water, and they do not distinguish this braid. So use braid. Now, they asked me to share one of my favorite tips, and I'm going to do that with you right now. And this is one of my other favorite lures. This is kind of my secret weapon, my go-to. So, of course, the Crappie Magnet Curly Slabs right there, Slab Curlies. But Crappie Magnet also makes another thing through the Fin Commander series called Curly Critters. If you take a look at them, when you have silted in water and you have, you know, bad conditions, this particular bait has not only the curly tail, as you can see, but it also has kind of those really cool fins that come out the side, which, you know, Crappie Magnet is famous for in their jigs. When they have their jigs, they just have their, it looks just like that, right? And they're constantly wiggling. But if you look at that, what that does, when that pulls through the water, it creates so much more disturbance in the water that it's easier for the crappie to actually come up on, sense, and of course hit. Now most people will take their lure and they'll run it on here like this, run it through the body, and they will pull it out, and then they put it on this double-cross barb. You push it up high like that, and then it doesn't slip down. And that's kind of a good little example of what you would throw. Here's the trick. I do it a little bit differently. What I do, and I'll take this out right now and show you my secret tip, is instead of putting it out where the actual wings are at the side, I put it so the wings are at the top and the bottom, and I'll show you why I do that right now. All right, so I just basically, same premise, just take it down, pull it out, and then I pull that through there. And so now you'll see my wings are on the top and the bottom. You're like, Kirby, why the heck would you do that? Here's why I do it. I make this lure weedless because of these wings. What I'll do is I'll take the hook and then I will actually put it onto the actual wing, and then I'll pull it through like that. So basically I've made myself a weedless lure. And you can see I can tap my finger on that pretty darn hard and I'm not hurting myself, all right, because I've made a weedless lure. But if I were to yank that up, of course I'd sink that hook deep into my finger. So there you go. When you're casting in heavy structure, take those crappie critters and make yourself a weedless structure. Also, when this thing is spinning right here, comes through this other little rubber bottom bumping thing, you know, can actually deflect off of underwater structure. But man, that is a deadly combination. I don't ever get hung up. I don't ever lose any lures. And I really like the Crappie Magnet Crappie Critter with the Crappie Kirby trick on it. So hope you enjoyed that. Oh, I almost forgot. Another very important tip is once you have these bodies on your braid, you want to set your drag very light. And I'm talking light where you can actually hear it at the slightest of pulls. Hear that? You can hear my drag working? The reason you want that drag so light is because you're going to be going over brush piles. You're going to be hitting brush. You're going to be hitting stuff. You don't want it to actually set the hook into the brush. You want to be the one that determines when you set the hook. So when you cast out that weedless lure, you'll hear that drag going boom, 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 and you'll know that it's not a hit because a crappie bite is so distinguished. So when you do get a crappie bite, then you set the hook. You sink that number 1/0 hook on these crappie critters deep into their mouths. All right, so that's one thing. Adjust your drag. They call crappie paper mouths for a reason. Another reason you want to have a loose drag when you fish for crappie is if you have a very hard drag and you set the hook, what does it do? It rips a longer, bigger hole in that paper mouth, and when they're flipping and flopping and coming to the top and you're swinging them into the boat, you'll lose some. All right, but if you have a lighter drag, when you set the hook, it sets it, but it doesn't rip and tear that paper mouth. So keep that in mind as well. Be safe. Prayers going out to all of you. Stay healthy. And maybe you can rearrange your tackle box a dozen times like I've done. And maybe you can go out and buy yourself some crappie magnets, jig heads, bodies, and Crappie Kirby's secret weapon, the crappie critter. Thanks a lot for watching. Check out my YouTube channel, Crappie Kirby, and I'm just bored enough I might do another video. So keep watching, stay safe, God bless.